All right, we're gonna make some serious progress on this thing today. I got some updates and some news, so let's get into it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. Like I said, we got some news, we got some updates, we got some things figured out on the car, I think, or at least a direction to head. So let me explain what's going on. So I finally talked to a shop that's close by here to the house. We're gonna eventually take the car down there to them, but for now, he does not think it's the alternator. If you've been following along, I've been fighting this like voltage issue thing going on with the car, but he does not think it's the alternator. So we're gonna skip that step for right now, and we're gonna try to chase down some other things that he recommended us do. So this is what we got going on. On the stock intake manifold, there is a ground that goes from the manifold up to this little point up into here and grounds out. With the Skunk 2, we do not have that anymore. So we're gonna make a ground, put that ground back on the car, then we're gonna check our TPS and see what that is set at through EvoScan and all that stuff. Then we're gonna put some brake pads on the car. A while back, a long time ago, it's been months, I ordered some Project Mu brake pads. Those have still not come in. They pushed the date back to September, I think. So we're gonna put some EBCs on this thing, get some brakes on it because I cannot take the squealing brakes on this car. Then, one of you commented about you had some issues with your fuel rail and the Skunk 2 manifold and the spacers that came with it. You put the OEM ones on there and you blew an O-ring off the injector, something like that. I went through and checked mine and I did put the OEM ones back on there. So we're gonna take those out of there, put the Skunk 2 spacers that came with the manifold, we'll put those on the car. And then we have some other little knickknacks to get this thing a little more complete and a lot of progress on this thing. So there's like, let me check my list here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's like 10 things on this list that we got to do. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this and see what we can fix. First things first, we're taking this 10 gauge wire, making a new ground. We'll put it on the intake manifold, put it to the body of the car, and then go from there. And just like that, the ground is complete. Now, we're gonna replace this ground because the guy said that while this is a small ground as far as the gauge is concerned, he has seen some issues come up from not having this ground on the car. So we're gonna just add a ground to this thing. We'll put it back on there and see what happens. So we are going to go ahead and install this ground now. I gotta get my Dremel, gotta grind some paint off of the engine bay here, which I absolutely hate doing that, but gotta do it for a good ground. So let me get my Dremel, we'll grind that off of there, put the ground on the car, and move on. I hate doing that. Ugh. I actually went ahead and added some heat sheathing on this thing, so now we can put it on the car. I came over to put this wire on here, and I put it partially on, and then I looked at my throttle cable, and this bracket was so loose, like it was moving all over the place. I mean, that may have been part of the issue because the throttle seemed to be like hesitant, and it wasn't like, I don't know, it just seemed like the throttle was off. So, I mean, that could be a main fix to everything we're having problems with here. We'll wait and see, but that is a huge find. I didn't even think to look there. I've been looking all over this car, and I did not think to even look at that. All right, well, let's be honest, it still idles like dog shit. So we're gonna keep doing what the guy from the shop said to do and keep tracing things out. Next, I'm gonna try to do a parasitic draw test. I'm gonna stick my multimeter on the ground cable here and see if I'm seeing any milliamps being pulled and see if there's something going on that way. Okay, so went ahead and did the parasitic draw test. Couldn't really film that, but it showed 0.16 milliamps. So I think I read anything over 30 was bad, so that's about half. So I guess there's not a parasitic draw. I did let the car sit for 30 minutes after I started it up, so all the electronics and ECU, whatever, goes into a sleep state. I read that. Not sure if it works that way or not. Went ahead and did it anyways, but yeah. So that is good, I guess. So moving on. Okay, back out here, new day. I'm gonna move on to the next step, which was going to be replacing my OEM fuel rail spacers. I had one of you guys comment, I think I said this before, but one of you guys commented and said that you blew an O-ring on your injector using the OEM spacers on the Skunk 2 intake manifold. And I looked at mine and I did use the OEM ones. So I'm gonna grab these Skunk 2 spacers and put those on there and take the OEM ones off of there. I'm not sure why I put the OEM ones on there at the time, but I did apparently. So let's get those swapped out. Off that comes. All right. Bolt is out. Boop. Spin, 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 spin. Spacer can come out now. Whenever you're ready, my guy. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Much bigger. Why wouldn't it be? Okay, that one is in there. Let me get my other spacer. Obviously this would do something, I feel like, but as to what it would be, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll have the right spacers on there now regardless. So we'll lock these back down. I believe these are 12 Newton meters. We'll lock them back down and move on to the next fix. Well, shit, we got that thing locked back down, and I will say the injectors do look much more seated than they were before. So maybe that was an issue too with like the fueling and how it was kind of running. We'll see. And it's probably a wonder that we didn't blow an O-ring, an injector, or whatever that we were doing when we were tuning the car, because they look much more seated than they were before by a lot. So yeah, oops. But moving on, we have this cable right here. I'm going to replace this. I made this a while back, but I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to make it go straight into the side of this thing because I wasn't sure how this was going to be orientated whenever I made this. But this is on here now and we can't put the cover on this thing, so I want to do that. So I'm going to cut this and make it go straight across right here, and we're going to put a brand new fusible link on here because way back when we were doing the first start, airplane, way back when we were doing the first start, we were trying to like turn the key a bunch and we blew the fuse on this one right here. So we'll replace this guy and get that all buttoned up. That likely has nothing to do with our issues we've been having, but we're right here, so we might as well do it. Boom, there we go. We got this thing. It's not quite fitting on there all the way. I think that's just the carbon piece, but we did have to trim a little bit of it right here to get the cable to go in. We also trimmed off this plastic part right here. There was a little wall right here. We went ahead and knocked that off of there. And the 4 gauge, 6 gauge, I forget what it is, fits under there nicely now. And it's on there pretty daggone snug. It's just not all the way down. So maybe I'll trim the carbon at some point, but for now, that's gonna have to work. This also has nothing to do with how the car is running, but we need to get it back in the car. It's been in the house for way too long. It's been empty in here on this side for way too long. Let's just stick it back in the car and get it over with. All right, next up on my list of things to do, we got those brake pads in. I want to change out those old ones because I went too aggressive on them and they squeal like crazy and I cannot stand it. So let's add some EBC red stuff brakes. Would you look at that? They actually are red. I've never ran these before, so I'm interested to see how they feel. All right, we got out with the old and in with the new. We're gonna get this thing up to operating temperature. I'm watching EvoScan, and the car's idling much better, but it kind of did that until it got warmed up, then the voltage was going all over the place. So we're gonna wait and see once it gets up to operating temperature what's going on, but this is the battery levels in EvoScan right now. I still have not adjusted my throttle position. It's showing 12.5. I know it's supposed to be 13.33, but I think I need to adjust that a little bit to get it a little bit higher. But battery levels are showing 14.1, 14.2, 13.9. So did the injectors and the throttle cable and all the other stuff fix this? We are not gonna jump to that conclusion just yet. I wanna wait for this thing to get hot and then we'll see what happens. My RPMs are jumping between 1100 and 850. Voltage is still showing 13.6, 13.4, 13.9. Huh. Daggone, that idles much better. Yeah, it has some drops here and there. It's kind of lopey, but that could just be part of the tune. That could just be anything, because the voltage never really dropped. It wasn't like doing the crazy waves it was doing before. So I am going to adjust that throttle position. I'm nervous to do it because I don't want to mess up the tune, but I think it needs to be a little bit higher than that 12.5. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that, and we'll see what it does. So with the car off and the key on, the TPS is showing 11.76, which is way too low. And then when I push the gas all the way to the floor, it's showing 93.72, which is also too low. Because talking to that guy from the shop, he said it should at least go to 95. So I'm going to adjust that TPS, and I think it might solve some more issues. Okay, now we're showing 13.33333 when the car is off. With the key on, pressing the gas, and that goes to 95.2. So that is definitely in the range. So let's see what that did. We're 13.7, voltage is 13.9. I mean, it could be the tune now that we changed the TPS. So I'm gonna have to get this thing looked at again, I do believe, and clear some things up. All right, well, I mean, I feel like we made a lot of progress. We got lots of stuff done on this thing that needed to be done. We got, I think, what would be a huge step in the right direction on figuring out this car and what was going on with it. It was idling, it was running really well before I adjusted the TPS, so probably need to get it retuned now that we adjusted that, because that will affect some things. And so, yeah, I guess I'm gonna get a hold of somebody and see if we can get this thing tuned again, and go from there, see what the AFRs look like and stuff like that, because it was running a little bit like around 12 and stuff like that, which is not ideal. So yeah, lots of progress today. If you got this far, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it very much. As always, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time. Bye.